Hello, this is Pigsy. So I just want to do a video, an update on sort of dreams and stuff like that. Basically, the dreams I've been having seem to be a bit more intense. I recently had a dream where it was in a woods and there was like a type of elf or something quite small, and this being basically it was kind of like in stealth mode. It basically had a type of invisibility type shield. But it's probably found that sounds a bit bizarre. And there was somebody walking through the woods, and basically it was stalking them, and then it come out of its shield to attack them. It had like a type of weird type of dagger that went into him. It looked like it was encrusted with some gold on it and something, and it sort of killed him off. And then the being, because I was sort of against what it done, I think it didn't make sense why it was doing that. And then it kind of, there was like a whirlwind. It was using some sort of wind to blow me around, so I was sort of thrown around in this woods. Anyway, eventually I caught back up with it, and it was had this weird like shield around it, and it was waiting behind a tree for somebody else to turn up. And I had like a spear in my hand, and I just walked up to it and shoved the spear straight into its back, because I knew what was going to come next. He was just going to go off and kill somebody else. So yeah, that was quite interesting, quite unusual. Whether it was some kind of test, maybe it was testing the sort of humanity. Would I go along with what it was doing, or would they get to a point where I'd disagree or try to stop it in some way? And I guess that kind of proves the point to what what I would do in them sort of situations. So it's like a moral test. Because the weird thing is, because it could be that I was in a different form anyway, but I was able to come up behind this small chap. Or it could be that him creating his shield, he thought nobody could notice he was there. So I kind of saw this sort of like yellow haze around him. So yeah, so then I was just, like I say, I was able to sort of take him out. But was it more a kind of virtual reality simulation, or was it actually an event in some way that sort of played out in a particular way, or reliving a memory of some kind? So all these things are quite sort of interesting. Last night I had a dream. I think I've been doing a bit more research into different beings, but I had a dream. I don't normally have these particular race in them at all, but it was quite interesting, and the details were unusual. So in the dream, I was actually back in a previous work and employment, and I was doing some care work for this company. Now the people in the company I didn't recognise, but anyway, I had some work to do, so I was driving around, and then we were looking at driving skills. I'd imagine, just thinking about the way it was all laid out. It's very strange road layout, and it was just driving around trying to figure out how to drive these particular areas. But I didn't actually visit anybody in the dream. I was just driving around, and then later I went back to what I thought was the company. It was interesting, and then it kind of went from, well, basically it's a dream within a dream, because you went somewhere else, and this place I went to was like it was like a changing room for like a gym or something like that, and it was very strange. It was like a shower, so I went in there. I sensed there was a female in there as well. Oh, another female. There was a female in there, and I so I was naked. I guess I was going to have a shower or do something, or getting changed. And I went off into some sort of cubicle. I noticed some other people coming in the room, and cubicle. I sensed the presence of the female, but I don't actually recall seeing much of her. It was more like I went around the corner to get changed or do something, I don't know. And anyway, so I went into like a cubicle, like it was almost like a little shower cubicle. The doors were slightly different though, and then there was sort of these other people that I assumed were my work colleagues, which weren't, were in the room as well. And then one of them said, "Oh, yeah, don't pull that back," and sort of joking around, you might upset him or something sort of jokingly. So I looked around. I think the actual the actual blind did come open. So I was looking around the corner of this blind, or I was standing there, like I say, naked, and then there was a whole group of women. There's probably about possibly 10 women, and they were all naked in this room, and the room was completely white. It was bright white, and I'm trying to even think even if I saw any shower things there. So it's a very strange cubicle, and while I was in this sort of like this cubicle that had a kind of sliding doors that could slide around the side of it. So anyway, it come open. I went to joke, but they were in their starkers, and they also, the other thing of coming out of the dream, they had like blonde and mousy sort of blonde, blue eyes. They weren't massively tall. I mean, I'm 6 foot anyway, but in this thing I could have been taller, because I don't know where I was. And basically they sort of range in sort of 5 foot and so on, and the bodies weren't all sort of like one particular size person. There was a bit of variation. I mean, who knows? Maybe they are a type of hybrid, but I'd say these are like Palladian type beings. They seemed friendly enough, and whether this was a part of the test, how would I react to them? I mean, I didn't have any issues. I just sort of a joke with them, really. It's not every day you go into a room and suddenly there's like 8 to 10 females burst in, naked. But they didn't. I mean, they didn't seem to be bothered about their own self being naked. They're just sort of like friendly, and they're sort of I think they were curious and sort of inquisitive. So they wanted to see me inside this, basically meet me. But originally, one of them led me to this place. I kind of get a reading that possibly I was there in a kind of holographic form simulation, which sounds strange because it was very vivid, and I haven't left my flat. So and what I'm picking up is that I can possibly go back there, and it's a bit like if you've watched Red Dwarf, and they have like the light beam, and basically it's like a small sort of drone object that floats, but it generates a holographic version of yourself, and it can sort of key into your consciousness. There's a few other bits and bobs that are sort of raised about things like basically DNA memory and stuff like that, because when people go off in their dreams they don't recall anything. Sometimes it's just sort of like wiped, or actually not wiped. The information has gone straight into their sort of light drive. So basically things that you do in this life get put in there, and conclusions and wisdom and all this sort of stuff. So you've got kind of a library that in the future self you access, or your current self you can access different bits and bobs. I think there's some restrictions on it, because basically difficult to have a sort of a life free of new experience if you're running on the old simulation. So there's no new discoveries, there's no new way to look at things, because you've already got this simulated way of thinking about things. So so that's interesting. I have also there's some other information about Pandira and Pandine's like a city or something. So out there, I think there was something mentioned about a place, a new discovered planet or something out there, and I think that might be connected to that. So there's already inhabitants there. So it'd be interesting how things develop in future sort of few years and so on. So yeah, so anyway, this is signing off. I mean, maybe you've had your own sort of dreams and experiences. Worth making notes of them, because even though they might seem obscure or abstract, there may be another reason, especially if you're kind of doing something that's almost pointless. Like one of my previous ones I had, was like sat at a computer. It's only when I looked over my shoulder I realised there was a grey or something actually peeking around the door and watching me. So where my brain was, or where I was at a conscious level, I was tuned into, was almost the simulation, and the observer in the room was another consciousness, and you pick up on another consciousness observing it. So yeah, anyway, this is Pigsy signing off, and speak to you soon.